Hey everybody, it's the Fire Specialist here, and about 2 weeks ago, another content creator by the name of Big Yellow put out a video talking about the ghost-type Pokemon in Red, Blue, and Yellow. He talked about a lot of interesting facts that I will show on screen here in a couple minutes, but to be perfectly honest though, when it comes to the Pokemon in Red, Blue, and Yellow, there's 151 of them, as you guys should know. Well, you would think with 151 Pokemon and 15 types of Pokemon, you would be able to distribute that pretty evenly, like 10 Pokemon a type, but sometimes having more thanks to dual types. Well, in this video, I'm going to show you guys 7 more Pokemon, in addition to Ghastly, Haunter, and Gengar, that could have become the Ghost type. Again, I'm sorry if I ramble on. I don't do script writing, I don't read from a script. So this might seem a little jumbled up and whatnot, but this is a video I've been wanting to make ever since I saw this one. Shout out to, of course, the guy you see on screen right now, Big Yellow, for giving me permission to do this video, so thank you very much. So, like I said, in a Pokemon game with 151 Pokemon and 15 types, you would think maybe 10% of each type would be, 15 Pokemon, or, like I said, no script. Yeah, 15 times 10, 15 Pokemon of each type should be represented. But as you see here, 21.85% is the poison type. And farther right behind that is the water type, 32 out of 151, 21.19%. A fifth of the game is poison type, a fifth of the game is water type. And then just under 2% you have ghost types and also dragon types. One evolution line each, only 3 out of 151. Which is just not balanced. And in terms of Generation 1, yeah, this game has balancing issues, which is why we got Steel and Dark in Gen 2 and Fairy in Gen 6. But in this video, though, I'm going to talk about 7 more Pokemon that should have been maybe classified as the Ghost type as well, to round it up to at least 10 Pokemon at a minimum. I know that's still not, I think, 10%, or maybe I haven't made a video in a while. So again, I apologize for the kind of rambling and whatnot. But at least 10 Pokemon that could have been, or 7 more Pokemon that could have been the Ghost type. So first and foremost, I know you see on the screen, and let me just explain. When it comes to the Pokedex itself, I'm not going to change the amount of Pokemon in the game. It's going to still stay 151. So, I'm not going to add anything. But, that doesn't mean I can't make substitutions or replacements. In a game where we do have some very unbalanced Pokemon type distribution, one thing I like to talk about is the normal and flying typing. We have some pretty good options for normal flying types, like probably the most average pick, but the early game pick of Pidgeot. We also got probably 2 of the best normal flying types you could get. Pharaoh, which is an early full evolution Pokemon, and Dodrio, which actually has the access move to Drill Peck. But then you have Farfetch'd. As you see, its base stats on screen probably rival crappy stats like Delcatty, even though I think Delcatty even has a 70 in one stat, at least. So for the video in general, I'm going to actually say let's remove Farfetch'd from the game. And I say Farfetch'd never existed. Farfetch'd came into existence in Generation 8 as just Galarian Farfetch'd just became Fighting type Farfetch'd. Because of that, now we have 150 Pokemon. So we have to go ahead and put a Pokemon into the game. And that's where I think Mischievous could come into play. As you know, Ghastly, Haunter, and Gengar are all Ghost and Poison type Pokemon. We don't actually have a pure Ghost type. And in this game, and in this video in general, I'm not going to have any other pure Ghost type Pokemon. Everything's going to have the Ghost type added to them. So because of that, we're going to remove Farfetch'd, and let's say we move Mischievous up 1 generation. Mischievous is now Generation 1. That's one thing I think that could have happened. It's not an evolution Pokemon, but we have seen that before Generation 1. At the intro of Generation 1, Electabuzz, Snorlax, Magmar, Jinx, Mr. Mime. There are some good Pokemon that don't evolve. And Mischievous, I think, can be that good middle-of-the-road Pokemon. If you don't want to do a trade evolution to get your Gengar, then you could have a Mischievous. This could also open up the possibility for perhaps maybe moving up Bayonet or Dusclops line to Generation 2. So you actually have more than just 1% of Generation 2 being Ghost type. Or again, 1% of Generation 2 being Dragon type. Kind of ironic how Generation 1 introduced 3 dragons and 3 ghosts. Generation 2 introduced 1 dragon and 1 ghost. So, first off on the list here is Mischievous. Obviously, it will still get its evolution in the future. But I think Mischievous having the only pure ghost typing in Generation 1 would work out very good and form its own niche. It would have, the stats you see on screen. Pretty easy to tell its conjoined special stat would be 85, and that's not bad. Next up we have here, probably interesting pick though, Ninetales. Yeah, number 2 on my list of 7 is Ninetales. I believe it is Pokemon Parlous Crystal ROM hack that has Ninetales as a fire and ghost type. And I actually really like that. It's different from people wanting Ninetales to be part psychic type. But because I kind of feel like those tails of Ninetales, instead of just being telekinetic and everything, maybe it could be kind of haunting, After all, Ninetales does get one of the 3 ghost type moves in Generation 1 being Confuse Ray, which I have used on Pokemon Showdown before with Gen 1 random battles and Vulpix's Confuse Ray actually being quite the menace. I do think though Ninetales helps with the fire and ghost typing with Nightshade, or not Nightshade, but Confuse Ray. And another move that I will talk about at the end of the video that I want to also add into Generation 1. Because as you guys know, Generation 1 for its ghost type moves have Nightshade, which is a fixed damage move that does damage based on your level. In competitive, that would either be probably 50 damage or 100 damage. And then you have Confuse Ray, which I just mentioned. It's a status move. Just creates confusion status. Maybe they can damage themselves, skip their turn. And Lick, which is a base 20 power ghost type attack. That can cause paralysis. But in terms of stab damage dealing, it's just not all that great. So I will talk about a better move for Generation 1 here in a little bit. But yes, my second choice though for a ghost type Pokemon is Ninetales that could become fire and ghost type. Number 3 on the list though is Parasect, the infamous bug and grass type. Paras is bug and grass type as well, being 4 times weak to flying, 4 times weak to fire, and in Generation 1, 4 times weak to the poison type, and being one of the very few Pokemon, if not the only Pokemon, to have 3 quadruple weaknesses. This right here, though, is a personal pick of mine because maybe a few months ago, like a year ago, I actually created a Parasect evolution called Paraspector. But not thinking about that, though, this is strictly Parasect. I think Parasect could be Bug and Ghost, based on, of course, the law that the mushroom itself takes over the Paras. Well, what if the mushroom taking over the Paras kills the Paras? I mean, that's basically ghost type law. Gengar is supposed to be like the shadow of a Clefable. So I think Parasect being a bug and ghost type, being immune to fighting, immune to normal, and can get Spore, being probably the best ghost type with the sleep type move. As you know, Ghastly Hunter and Gengar get Hypnosis. So this could be like an alternate to Hypnosis. And obviously I think maybe level up moves, it would still get Hypnosis, maybe at the Spore level, and then Spore a bit later for balancing purposes. Kind of like the way some Pokemon, I think like Execute learns Hypnosis and then later on Sleep Powder. Or how Zubat learns Supersonic and then later on Confuse Ray. Specific upgrade for moves. I think Parasect would have a very nice niche, being a bug and ghost type. Having weaknesses to just fire, flying, rock, and ghost, really. Next up is kind of a gag pick, because of a move I'm going to say again later on. But I think Electrode. A lot of people joke around that Electrode is basically a Pokeball possessed, or Voltorb is a Pokeball possessed. Electrode is just upside down Pokeball, still possessed. So I think Electro being electric and ghost type would actually fit that meme, if you want to call it that. It would probably be, actually, sorry about that, it would be the fastest ghost type too. Being able to be a ghost type that maybe uses fast thunder waves, fast confuse rays. It would be very good to kind of make up for that just base 80 special attack. And unfortunately, Ghost being physical in Generation 1, still don't know why they did that. Its base 50 attack wouldn't be so good. So it would probably be another Gengar situation. That its only physical move it would probably run would have to be Explosion. But I still think Electrode being a electric and ghost type makes sense just solely in the fact that it's like a meme. And I think that would kind of maybe fit more into why Electrode and Voltorb look like Pokeballs. Next up is a personal, not a personal fan, a fan, I guess, favorite in terms of being creepy. And it does get the Hypnosis move, Hypno. A lot of people say he should be Psychic and Dark type, but I think in the confines of Generation 1, Hypno could be a Psychic and Ghost type. The Dark type has not yet been introduced in Generation 1, so it wouldn't have that 4 times weakness to Dark, but it would still be weak to, well, I guess not really a lot, and probably make it a bit overpowered. But seeing as though Hypno gets overshadowed by other Pokemon like Mr. Mime for being a fast Lovely Kiss user and having access to Ice-type moves, which is the most powerful status in the game, Freeze, and also Gengar just being a faster Hypnosis user than the Hypnosis Pokemon himself, I think having a Psychic and Ghost-type Hypno actually makes kind of sense. Maybe it could even maybe bump his speed up a little bit, being able to maybe float. Maybe the Pendulum is what makes him part Ghost-type. I'm kind of just grasping at straws on this one, but I kind of feel like the fact that he's the Hypnosis Pokemon, making him Psychic and Ghost-type, peek his head through walls, go intangible, I think that could make a lot of sense for this Pokemon. And maybe even open up the floor for a future evolution for Hypno. Haven't created one like that yet, but looking at his base stats though, he could use an offensive boost, maybe an HP boost, a speed boost. How come Hypno hasn't gotten any love? Number 6 here on the list, though, for Ghost-type Pokemon, maybe kind of obvious, maybe a bit too obvious, Marowak. Becoming, yes, I know, another Ground and Ghost-type, but this should be the first Ground and Ghost-type, so no one should complain. I also kind of find it, now I like this fact, but I think it's also really odd, despite how much I like this. In Alola, the Ground-type Cubone evolves into the Fire and Ghost type Marowak, Alolan Marowak. But the thing is, imagine you're playing through Alola, and Alola is your very first game. You have a Cubone. I think you get Cubone before the second Grand Trial. You know the second Grand Trial is a Rock type Grand Trial. You heard it from a friend or something, or maybe there's a hint in the game, I'm not sure. But you capture a Cubone to help you out in the trial that is going to be Rock types. Olivia. And I'm pretty positive it can evolve before the gym battle. Well, before the, not gym battle, but before the grand trial. Because if you're not doing, like, imposed rules, you don't have to do, like, level limits. But if you're just, you evolve your Cubone before the battle, maybe it evolves after the battle with, the Team Skull admin. I forgot her name, but if you evolve it right after that battle, before the grand trial, you now have a Fire and Ghost type going up against a Rock type. You lose your advantage for a disadvantage. So I think this kind of helps. I mean, that wouldn't change at all. But this right here, the Ground type Cubone becoming the Ground and Ghost type Marowak. I mean, it also kind of fits in with the whole Marowak dead Team Rocket plot and whatnot, and especially when it's shown in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. I just think that would be really cool. I don't think Shadow Bone would be introduced yet. I only have one other move I want to introduce, and I will get into that in a little bit. You guys probably know what it is, but I'll talk about that here in a second. And last on the list, another one that I kind of was grasping at straws, Executor. Grass and Psychic type. Like I said already, Psychic types, they are the most powerful type in Generation 1, and there's a good, plentiful amount of them. Jinx having the Ice typing, Alakazam being probably the fastest Psychic type that also has Recovery and the infinite, solo Pokemon Reflect. It's just good. But then you have lesser Psychic types. I mean, in my opinion, Slowbro outclasses Executor too. And Slowbro was an option, I thought, but I didn't want to get rid of its water and Psychic typing, despite us already having Starmie as well. But Executor here starts out as the Grass and Psychic type Execute, and maybe when it evolves with a Leaf Stone, the head kind of takes over the whole thing. Like the main head of it, Execute, takes over, and maybe the coconuts are what's possessing the tree. Like I said, this is definitely another kind of, to put it frank, ass pull. But I think the Grass and Ghost type Executor would be a really good addition. Plus, like I said, it does get Sleep Powder, it does get Hypnosis. And with a move that I'm about to cover here in a second, looking at those coconut heads, I think it makes good sense. Alright. And last but not least, we've already gone over the Pokemon that I thought would be great for making them part Ghost type. I definitely think we need to, of course, have a Ghost type TM. Since, keep in mind, you have only one Dragon type move in Gen 1, and it's also a TM, being Dragon Rage. Well, Lick, Nightshade, and Confuse Ray, none of them moves are TMs. So I think, in Generation 1, just so you have some good option to teach your Pokemon a good Ghost type move, we need to go ahead and move Shadow Ball up one generation. Keep in mind, Generation 1 has the Teleport TM. Why are you teaching Teleport to anyone when you can use Escape Ropes, Fly, Dig, or carry antidotes and heal your Pokemon before walking back? I mean, what am I missing? To Fly? I mean, why is Teleport a TM? And I'm not sure, I'm probably wrong, but is Teleport TM30 in Generation 1? And then Shadow Ball is TM30 in Generation 2? I should have checked about that, but I'm really just at a loss for words about how come the Ghost type, even Dragon Rage, has that 40 power move so great early on. No one's going to want to rely on Lick. No one's going to want to really rely on Confuse Ray for damage. It's a status move. And then Nightshade is consistent, but it doesn't get stab. It doesn't get super effective bonuses. It does hit the normal type in Generation 1, which is pretty fun. That and a Seismic Toss. And an odd quirk with Counter on Gengar, but that's not here or there. I think Shadow Ball being a base 80 power Ghost type, unfortunately, physical move in Generation 1 would make sense. And if you remember, Executor has like a base 95 physical attack. It can make good use of Shadow Ball. Unlike the literal ball Pokemon itself, Electrode, being electric and Ghost type with 50 base attack, 80 base power Shadow Ball. But still, it would be a good option though. It would be a good actual type effective option. It's not quite as strong as Thunderbolt, but it can still lower, special defense, which could help with like Mega Drain Executor and Thunderbolt Electrode and Flamethrower Ninetales. So Shadow Ball being a TM, an absolute must, it needs to be added to the game. So these Ghost type Pokemon can actually have a way to do good Ghost type damage. After all, Flareon has a base 130 physical attack and gets Shadow Ball in Generation 2 and can run Train with it. So in my opinion, that's an incredible change to make. I really wish maybe we go back in time and change some things, but obviously we can't do that. And that about does it for this video. Again, sorry for the rambling. It's been about a month or so since I've done a video. I think some of my early math was probably off. If I was going to do 10% of the Pokédex being Ghost, I should have done 15 Pokemon. Instead, I did 10. But I really kind of struggled toward the end to get probably a 9th and 10th Pokemon that made sense. So I still think 10 Ghost-type Pokemon in the game. Remove Farfetch as Mischievous is good. Again, thank you very much to Big Yellow for giving me permission to use his concept as a bridge for my video. He's at like 67.7. He's at like 67,000 subs. So hit that sub button for him. Try and get him to like 2 million subs by the end of the year. That would be incredible. I am at 72 subs last time I checked. So I'm just trying to get to like 75 subs by the halfway point of the year. So thank you guys very much for watching. This was kind of a different video that I wanted to make ever since I saw his, because I kind of like doing my own create your Pokemon type of thing. This isn't really create my own Pokemon. Maybe I'll make a video like that here soon. I have a list of good ideas, honestly, that are good to me at least. Like Paraspector. But I'm not an artist. But at this point, I'm rambling on. Like I said, I don't use a script. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys on whatever I do in the future. Goodbye, everybody.